कभी सोचा है कि ऊंचाई पर आपका काम कितना सुरक्षित हो सकता है? एक ऐसी दुनिया की कल्पना कीजिए जहां हर संभावित खतरा समस्या बनने से पहले ही पता चल जाए। मिलिए ट्रैकर एआई के स्मार्ट पीटीजी कैमरा सिस्टम से। ये कोई आम कैमरा नहीं है। ये ऊंचाई पर काम करने की सुरक्षा में गेम चेंजर है। सुरक्षा सबसे जरूरी है ना? यह एक प्रोडक्टिव और खुशहाल वर्कफोर्स की नींव है। कड़े नियमों के बावजूद दुर्घटनाएं अभी भी होती हैं। इन घटनाओं को रोकने में पारंपरिक तरीके अक्सर कम पड़ जाते हैं। पेश है ट्रैकर एआई का स्मार्ट पीटीजी। यह एडवांस्ड सिस्टम पुराने सुरक्षा उपायों की कमियों को पूरा करने के लिए डिजाइन किया गया है। ट्रैकर स्मार्ट पीटीजी कैमरे बेहतरीन निगरानी प्रदान करते हैं ताकि आप दुर्घटना होने से पहले ही खतरों का पता लगा सकें। 24/7 निगरानी प्रदान करते हुए ये दिन हो या रात, ऊंचाई पर काम करने वाले सुरक्षा खतरों का तुरंत पता लगाता है। जरा सोचिए, रियल टाइम मॉनिटरिंग, ऑटोमेटेड अलर्ट और यहां तक कि गिरने का भी पता लगाना। यह एक ऐसे सुरक्षा प्रबंधक की तरह है जो कभी आंखें नहीं बंद करता। रियल टाइम अलर्ट तुरंत कार्रवाई शुरू करते हैं, यह सुनिश्चित करते हुए कि संभावित खतरों को बढ़ने से पहले ही दूर कर दिया जाए। ऑटोमेटेड निगरानी मानवीय त्रुटि को काफी कम करती है, जिससे आपका कार्यस्थल सुरक्षित और अधिक कुशल बनता है। यह पीपीई और वेल्डिंग कार्य अनुपालन का भी पता लगाता है। यह सुनिश्चित करता है कि सभी कर्मचारी ठीक से सुसज्जित हों। सुनिश्चित करें कि हर कर्मचारी सुरक्षित घर जाए। यही तो असली मकसद है ना? सुरक्षा को बेहतर बनाने के लिए तैयार हैं? सुरक्षित रहें, स्मार्ट रहें। ट्रैकर एआई के साथ आप केवल अपने उपकरणों को अपग्रेड नहीं कर रहे हैं, आप अपनी पूरी सुरक्षा संस्कृति को अपग्रेड कर रहे हैं। ट्रैकर स्मार्ट पीटीजी कैमरे में एडवांस्ड एआई एल्गोरिदम है जो लगातार सीख रहे हैं और नई सुरक्षा चुनौतियों के हिसाब से ढल रहे हैं। 360 डिग्री रोटेशन और हाई डेफिनेशन वीडियो के साथ ये हर कोण को कवर करता है, कोई भी ब्लाइंड स्पॉट नहीं छोड़ता। आप अपनी जगह से उठे बिना ही एक आसान ऑनलाइन प्रक्रिया के जरिए तय कर सकते हैं कि किन क्षेत्रों को कवर करना है, प्रत्येक क्षेत्र में क्या देखना है। सेटअप के जरिए आप दूर से ही रियल टाइम में देख सकते हैं कि जमीन पर क्या हो रहा है। हाल ही के एक केस स्टडी में एक निर्माण संयंत्र ने हमारे सिस्टम को लागू करने के बाद दुर्घटनाओं में 40% की कमी की। इसमें नाइट विजन, पीपीई के लिए एडवांस्ड मॉनिटरिंग, ऊंचाई पर काम और वेल्डिंग गतिविधियों सहित रियल टाइम एनालिटिक्स शामिल हैं, जो इसे एक व्यापक सुरक्षा समाधान बनाता है। हमारी विशेषज्ञों की टीम उच्चतम गुणवत्ता और विश्वसनीयता सुनिश्चित करती है, आपकी सुरक्षा आवश्यकताओं को पूरा करने के लिए लगातार नया करती रहती है। साथ ही हमारी समर्पित सहायता टीम 24/7 आपकी सहायता के लिए उपलब्ध है। यह सुनिश्चित करती है कि आपको अपने निवेश का पूरा लाभ मिले। ट्रैकर एआई के स्मार्ट पीटीसी कैमरा सिस्टम के साथ सुरक्षा में क्रांति में शामिल हों। अब समय आ गया है कि आप अपने सुरक्षा उपायों को अगले स्तर पर ले जाएं। अधिक जानने और आज ही शुरू करने के लिए tracker.live पर जाएं। साथ मिलकर हम सभी के लिए एक सुरक्षित, स्मार्ट भविष्य बना सकते हैं।
Welcome to another episode of Hackla Podcast, where we explore critical workplace safety issues. Today, we are diving into a critical topic of fall protection standards in India with our special guest, Mr. Pritam Dev, Business Head, Fall Protection and Lifeline Systems at Udyogi Safety. Falls from height remain one of the biggest workplace hazards in India. How can industries improve safety? What are the latest advancements in fall protection? Let's uncover the answers with an industry expert. Thank you, Pritam, for giving us your time
Yeah,
today.
hello. It is a pleasure to be in this event and this program, and I would like to share my insights. Being into this industry, it's more than 14, 15 years now, and I've been working closely in the India, come the international, the markets, and so I do understand the different standards and what the challenges in the environment and day to day, the hazards people are facing. There are a lot of fatalities which are happening, and definitely we are talking about fall. So when we talk about fall continue to be it's continued to be the leading cause. It continues to be the leading cause of all the fatalities workplace injuries, what we call. And that is specifically due to, you can say, one thing is lack of awareness, second, inadequate training, and then definitely improper use of safety gears at some times. Many organizations, whether it be big or small, doesn't matter, but they fail to even conduct regular inspections and maintenance. When we talk about fall protection gears or the equipments, it's a life-saving equipment. When we talk about it as life-saving equipments, we have to take care of it. You know, we take care of all of our things, like we take care of our mobile, we take care of our laptop, and a lot of things at home. But something as a fall protection equipment, that should be my best friend. I should also take care of that gear. I should maintain it. I should inspect it each time before I wear it, because that's what is going to save my life during my work activity. And then definitely comes related to something, the policy matters. There is always a gap between a policy implementation and actual operational issues or actual application related requirement, what I will say.
Okay, that's a very good start to our conversation. Let me put forward some specific questions and then get some
Yeah.
information from your side. Pritam, why is fall from height still one of the leading causes of workplace injuries and fatalities despite the advancements in safety
Yeah.
gear and training?
I think I have covered few of the points in my introductory session, and that's what I said. People need to be careful. Training is a very important thing, and training, why? Because again, awareness in selection of safety gear is very important. To understand the hazard, the application is very important. So that's more of a practical approach. So people do go by a lot of theoretical things, but when we talk about fall protection, can you actually set up a book? Can everything be written in a theory format? I will say actually no. It's not possible globally, because you don't know which time the worker is working in which situation and which is the kind of challenges he is facing and what can happen again. Sometimes people working at height are overconfident. That's a very serious matter in India. People are working and then they say that, okay, I'm working for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and I know how it has to be done. So they don't bother about the life threats. You will not get a call or an email or a WhatsApp before the incident happens, right? You, every time you need to be serious about your work, and safety should be the number one priority.
Like you mentioned, overconfidence still remains one of the important factors
Yeah.
which is leading to fatalities from height. Right. What are some of the common mistakes which companies make when implementing fall protection
Okay.
systems?
In my experience, I've seen the one of the common mistakes is like, one thing is choosing the inappropriate gears. That's a mistake, because I need to understand. If I talk about fall protection, let's talk about harnesses, the full body harnesses. So when people ask for it, okay, for this work, I have a work at 10 meters height, or maybe 20 meters height, or 15 meters height. So I need a full body harness. That's it. But we need to understand that again, depending on the application. So whether the worker or the person is working in the oil industry, so whether there is a static charge, the area, so whether he needs an anti-static harness, or he is doing a hot job at a height of 50 meters, wherein he would need a FR harness. Even a person working in the electrical things, like the transmission job or any other electrical work he's doing at height, for that he need to wear a dielectric harness. So, and even we talk about full body harness in working at height, again rescue is an important, very important criteria. So even for a rescuer, there is a rescue harness, and there is a standard for it, like EN 1497, that's a standard for a rescue harness. So that's what is very important, to first of all to have a proper understanding for what job, what application, what is the kind of harness which has to be selected, and then the correct usage of it, the maintenance of it is a very important factor. Yeah.
So, like you mentioned, for different industries, there are different specification how to select the harness and different parameters, I think, for different protection
Absolutely.
systems. Got it. There are multiple world regulation safety standards, like OSHA is one of them, which are enforced in workplaces. But why do you think, where do companies fall short? Why do these accidents still happen?
Okay, again, to talk about the standards, if we talk about the Indian standards, for since very long time, the government is taking this government is taking a lot of initiative and in reviving all the standards which are old. Very good thing is that in fall protection, we have a Indian standard which is like IES 3521. 2021 it was formulated and then it got implemented. So under that it has part 1 to 9 which covers mostly 99% of all the products and equipments which falls under fall protection. Again, at the same time, this is also implemented, like the EN standard is also followed for the rest of the equipments or the critical equipments. Again, we have the ANSI standards. So there's a lot of standards. So, and we need to understand what these standards talk about, what is the basic requirement. Say for example, as earlier example I have given related to full body harness, we need to understand in fall protection system is concerned, everywhere there is a big criteria of energy absorption in the system or the equipment or the PP that is used. Now, if we do not consider that, then the impact on the person is huge. For example, if a person is wearing a full body harness and a person is working at a height of say around 6 meters and then he somehow there's a slip and trip and he falls, because he is wearing a full body harness, definitely he will not fall on the ground, he will be suspended. But the amount of impact which goes on the body if there is no energy absorber, so that is around 17 kilonewton. So 17 kilonewton is approximately 1700 kgs, which is huge. And scientifically, if we talk about, our body is made by God in a way that we can sustain maximum up to 6 kilonewtons. That's it. So imagine the comparison between 600 kgs, which is a limitation, which is our body can sustain, and the impact of 1700 kgs or 17 kilonewton without the energy absorber, which our body can never sustain, and there will be multiple injuries, even breakage of spinal cord, your neck bone will, collarbone will break, and lot of things. So that means what? Even though you are alive, you are fully paralyzed. You are not able to work, right? So that is a very important thing when we talk about standards. So we need to understand what is the standard requirement and what it says.
So, Pritam, I was just thinking in fire safety scenarios, like when a building is being constructed, for example, there is a checklist which they need to follow in order to make the
Right.
building fire compliant. Suppose the construction is going on in a new site, and do these workers or the project managers have a checklist to make sure that fall from height is not happening or protected?
Yeah, see, they must have. This is a basic requirement criteria, I will say. They must have this checklist. Nowadays, also, I think it is good that the standards, more than the standards, I will talk about the policies has been very stringent nowadays. Because earlier, there are multiple fatalities, nobody care, and you can manage things and all that stuff. But now, if the legality part of it is so strong and it needs to be further strong, that if a fatality has happened and there are discrepancies or gaps in findings, then there has to be a big penalty. So then only things will be better. Because if we have to talk, I'm very sorry to say, but if you see, do we really value life of people? Specifically in India, if we talk about, if we value the life of people, then definitely we will not talk about cost. We will not talk about cost. And there is again a lot of issues about duplicacy in India. So there is a big brand and automatically there is a demand and people start copying that and make a fake product out of it. You get it half the cost At the cost of what? So this is the cost, and they're at the cost of a person's life. So that is vulnerable.
Mhm.
So these are the challenges.
That is, that's a very good point. I think it's a topic which everyone should deeply think about before making such copies or
Yeah.
fake products. What are some of the latest innovations in fall protection equipment, and how are they improving worker
Yeah,
safety?
there is I think every now and then there is a lot of innovations happening, a lot of R&D is happening. And if you talk about fall protection, if you see for working at height to reduce the impact or there is no free fall, you're aware about the self-retracting lifeline. So there is a product called self-retracting lifeline, or we also call it as a retractable block. So suppose a person is working at height of 20 meters, and then if he is wearing a full body harness with energy absorber and twin lanyard, then if he falls, then he will be having a free fall. So he will be suspended. And of course there will be a suspension trauma situation. He must use a suspension trauma strap, so that should be made mandatory for all the harnesses which is used. But at the same time, the retractables are very nice products. If you see that it arrests the fall within few millimeters, okay, and so there is no free fall, there is no bodily injury, and absolutely
Right.
the person working, he has that confidence also while wearing those equipments and using these products at height. So that is one of the product, and definitely there are a lot of engineered systems which has come, like the lifelines, the permanent systems, or maybe the temporary systems that will reduce these challenges. So one of the things which the OSHAs, you talked about OSHA. So one of the things that OSHA is doing, that vertically, if you want to climb, so there is a ladder. Okay, if there is a ladder of say 15 meters or 10 meters heights, for example, and you're climbing it, and then there is no fall protection. Okay, in earlier age what we used to think, okay, he's climbing at 10 meters height and he might have that fear of height, so there is a cage. But again, if he is falling within the cage also, scientifically it is seen that he is actually hitting himself at least 5 to 6 times, and that is having massive bodily injury. More importantly, what is required is a vertical system, vertical fall rest. That can be temporary or permanent depending on industry. Temporary, what we say, is always for construction activities. But permanent is definitely important when we talk about like the factories, okay? The manufacturing facilities. These are permanent setups. You can have a permanent fall rest system, the vertical fall rest system for that. These are the things I think the OSHA's guidelines has mandated, like by 2036, all these cages has to be removed. Either all the ladders has to be having a vertical fall rest system. So these are the things which are going on.
Got it. Understood. So I was thinking, like, with this
Yeah.
use of technology in saving our workers, what percentage of safety are we ensuring? Like 99% or 95%? What do you think?
See, we want to achieve more than 100%, that's for sure. But again, as I said, that there are challenges which is related to the workers and you do not have a direct control. Okay, and that is where still more than 50% of the fatalities are happening for during working at height. And the good thing again, so there are companies which are enabling AI. So there are companies which are talking about camera which is enabled with AI, or detection cameras, and everywhere these cameras are being installed nowadays to monitor them. Because one person, so if there is a site and there are 500 people, so like one person or even 10% cannot go on monitoring on supervising them whether they're actually following the safety norms or not, right? So with the help of this digital assistants or these kind of cameras or maybe the drone cameras, things are becoming better. I believe in next 5 years, we need to see that India will be on a much better place. Yeah.
Moving on the same path or the point of view, so how important training is in preventing fall related accidents, and what kind of training should companies prioritize to teach their workers to work at safety?
Yeah.
Like I
Okay. So, yeah, training again. Training, as we talk about, training is one of the very, very critical things, and it should be mandated. What is happening in India currently that there is some operations going on, and in mostly they are talking about demonstrations of different kinds of equipments on site, whether it is a manufacturing or construction. So see, demonstration of certain equipments that you want to understand is something different, and training on a particular subject, specifically on fall protection or rescue, is completely different. So still, when we talk about fall protection, people will talk about a full body harness. That's it. So what about the anchorage? So when we talk about construction, fall protection, if you see, this is classified in the 4 5 things. So mainly, if you say that, so number one is anchorage, number two is body support, number three is connector, and the most important point, which is, I will say, 60% of the time which is missed, is the rescue plan or the rescue devices. And then the last thing, which is the fifth part, is definitely the other accessories and equipments. Like I said, the suspension trauma straps, the fall protection for tools, the tool lanyards, or the other gears which are related. But this is a very critical thing to understand, that for every activity, whenever we start a construction site or we are doing a shutdown maintenance at the plant, there is to be a rescue plan where we understand that during an emergency, we have to gear up, we have to be ready. Something might happen, but if we are having that rescue plan, if we are having those gears, and parallelly, if we are having the team who is ready to rescue, the rescuers basically, then the things become much more easier. We can rescue the person within a minimum timeline. We can even rescue a person within 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes max. So training is again very important, because until and unless these kind of trainings are given and it is mandated, then people don't have these kind of skills.
True. Yeah, hands-on training is very important. Like seeing and doing are two different things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's very important. Pritam, could you share any real life case studies or incident where proper or improper fail protection made a significant difference?
I actually have a lot of case studies on that in my last so many years of experience. So one of the experiences is a one iconic one, I will say. It was a site in Mumbai, Maharashtra, and one of the very, very big projects. I think there were more than 5,000 workers in the site. And then suddenly there were issues in terms of fatalities were happening. So there were multiple fatalities, okay, within a short period of time were happening during the construction phase. And then nobody was able to identify what is the basic problem and why these things are there. So one of the key factors to understand is, again, go back to basics. One is go back to basics to understand what was the challenge and how we can address it. Number two factor, if we talk about India, nowadays there are high-rise constructions, fantastic architecture. But
Yeah.
I have a request to all these architects who are designing this, that before you design any buildings or airports or whatever, commercial towers, whatever you want to do, please do consider the maintenance part of it after the building is done. After it is constructed, the future maintenance, how it will be done, how the persons during the construction activities also, there has to be provisions for safety, how it can be incorporated. So these things goes hand in hand. So design, so engineering design is very important.
Okay.
So that is what is safety engineering. There is a design, you incorporate the safety factor into that, you incorporate the future maintenance part of that building. So these are the things which are still lacking in a big way in India. So once it is done, so we will be able to secure and save more and more people. So coming back to the example, so this was one of the fantastic architectural projects,
Mm-hmm.
And then, as I said, there were multiple fatalities. And then no one was able to identify what was the thing, and everybody was like in a lot of fear. What is happening? Why so many people? Something wrong has happened, maybe. Some superstitious thing also is going on in the mind, which is quite likely in India, but nothing as such. Then, luckily, through one of my known persons, I was there at site for some assessment and investigation. And I was very surprised to find out that even the person was going through a security check, the workers, wherein they were wearing a helmet, they're wearing a jacket, full body harness, gloves, eye protection, shoes. But the basic important thing missing was anchorage. So there was no anchor point. So
Okay.
even though the person is wearing a harness, there is a lanyard, there is a hook. So when we talk about this, so where he will connect himself?
Yeah.
So there has to be some anchorage point where the person can connect. So the anchorage system can be temporary or permanent, doesn't matter, but it has to be provided. If you do not provide that, and in the design itself, there is a very limited space where the person can stand properly. So it was like 170 or 180 of a beam where the person has to stand. And if you technically see that, if you put your foot together, you'll see it requires a minimum space of 300 to 400 mm.
Wow.
Without
Okay.
that, you cannot stand properly. So it's you're like this if it's 170 mm or 180. If you need to put your both of your feet together, so you actually need 300 to 400 mm with a clearance.
Right.
And then definitely there is always a chance of disbalance. The condition they were in is a hot, humid atmosphere. So definitely they were going through a different challenges as an environmental challenges, and the working conditions were very challenging. So these people were falling from there because they were having no anchorage. So again, we went back to the design part. There was a lot of changes in the design. We made a lot of anchorage systems, permanent lifeline systems, walkways to make it safe. And by God's grace, 3 years it took for us to completely monitor. Obviously, we implemented a lot of rope access technicians because it was a very high critical architectural project. So there were challenges, and 3 years down the line, there was a zero incidents. So it was the entire project was completed safely with zero harm.
That's
So
great.
this is one of the case studies. Yeah.
Nice. I'm sure this will be very helpful for our audience to learn something from this case study.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Pritam, as we come towards the end of our podcast today, how do you see the future? How do you see, like you mentioned, India is gearing up, it's becoming better. So how do you see it unfold?
Yeah, so a lot of things has happened in last post-COVID. Post-COVID was actually a very interesting thing. If you see, there are a lot of virtual reality trainings which are happening. A lot of companies are working on it. There are different modules, whether it is work at height or electrical safety or different safety-related solutions or the challenges which are addressed. So that is one of the very important things wherein you feel it as a real world. So again, training part is very important that we need to emphasize on. Second thing, from the government side, we need policies on the legal side which has to be more and more stringent so that people who want to bypass are unable to bypass. What is happening now that very easily people are able to bypass, and then they are putting people's life under threat. So that has to be 100% captured.
Correct.
And rest, yeah, with a lot of activities and technology in place, and definitely we are developing it to the next level. We, as a company in Udyogi, we are doing a lot of awareness campaigns pan-India basis, and to increase the awareness, to increase the safety standards. And we are very hopeful that we will be able to reduce more and more incidents over the period of time. And that's the most challenging thing, and we accept the challenges.
Great, great. So that was a very insightful conversation with Mr. Pritam Dev today on the importance of all protection in Indian workplaces. Safety is not just a regulation, it's more of a responsibility. As industries evolve, investing in proper training, equipment, and awareness is crucial to saving lives. If you found this discussion valuable, share it with your colleagues and follow us for more expert insights. Stay safe, stay informed, and remember, life is precious. Until next time, take care and have a nice evening. Bye bye. Thank you.
Thank you.